When The Truman Show came out back in 1998, everyone thought, wow, what a brilliant piece of science fiction, a really clever satire. But if you watch it today, it feels different. It feels less like fiction and, honestly, a lot more like a documentary. So, in this explainer, we're going to re examine this classic film and see it for what it's become, a startlingly accurate prophecy of the digital life we are all living right now. And to really get at this, let's just start with these words from the show's fictional creator, Christof. This quote, it just cuts right to the heart of what the film and, frankly, our modern world is completely obsessed with, this search for authenticity. We're all looking for something real in a world that feels more and more manufactured, mediated, and, well, performed. So here's our game plan. We'll kick things off with the film's basic idea, then we'll see how it basically predicted the entire reality TV boom. From there, we'll look at how that morphed into social media culture where we're all the stars, and finally, how the whole thing is a perfect metaphor for our age of surveillance capitalism. And we'll wrap up by asking the biggest question of all, is there even a way out?
Okay, first things first. Let's do a quick refresher on the film's core concept, just to make sure we're all on the same page.
So just try to imagine this for a second. Your entire life, right from the moment you were born, has been a TV show. Every single person you know, your friends, your family, even strangers on the street, they're all actors. Your hometown, it's a gigantic climate-controlled set. That is Truman's reality, and he's the only one who has no idea he's the star of the most popular show on Earth. So how in the world did Christof, the creator, keep Truman contained? Well, it wasn't just about physical walls. It was a psychological cage, built brick by brick from fear and belief. They instilled this deep-seated terror of water in him by staging his father's drowning when he was a kid. The media was constantly feeding him messages about how dangerous it is to travel, and his closest relationships, they were basically just walking advertisements. Remember his wife, Meryl, just holding up some kitchen gadget and saying, "It's a chef's pal, it's a dicer, grater, peeler, all in one." Just unreal. For audiences back in 1998, this whole thing was this wild, paranoid fantasy. But here's the crazy part. The ink was barely dry on the script before real life started to imitate art in a huge way. And the speed of this shift was just incredible. Sure, we had shows like The Real World, and the O.J. Simpson trial proved we all had an appetite for real-life drama, but it was right after The Truman Show hit theaters that reality TV just exploded. Suddenly, Survivor and Big Brother were everywhere, taking this idea of watching normal people in manufactured situations and turning it into a global phenomenon. So why did this happen? What was the appeal? Christof actually tells us at the end of the film, after decades of slick-produced Hollywood fiction, audiences were just starving for something that felt genuine. They wanted to see real emotions, real reactions, even if those reactions were happening inside a super manipulated environment. But that hunger for authenticity, that was only the beginning. Pretty soon, it wasn't enough to just watch ordinary people on TV. The audience wanted to get in on the action. And this, right here, is where that line between the viewer and the performer just completely dissolves. Think about it like this. Truman was a prisoner of his own broadcast, right? He was desperately trying to escape it. But the modern influencer, they're a willing star. They're not trying to break out of the show. They're trying to build a bigger set, get a larger audience, and land better sponsors. We've gone from one single unknowing star to millions of us literally volunteering for the part. And it's not just the professional influencers, is it? Social media platforms have kind of turned all of us into the main characters of our own little stories. We perform our lives, curating the perfect narrative for our followers. You see trends like romanticizing your life on TikTok, which literally encourages people to treat their day-to-day existence like it's a movie. And this, of course, brings up some really thorny ethical questions, especially with parent-run accounts that turn childhood into content, which sounds a whole lot like Truman's complete lack of consent. But let's be honest, how real is this new reality we've built for ourselves? Well, not nearly as real as it looks. Get this. A 2023 study looked into this phenomenon called crowd-surfing. They analyzed mega-influencers on Instagram, people with over 1 million followers. Any guesses on what percentage of their engagement was found to be totally artificial? Over 20%. That's real people paid to generate fake comments and likes. It's a world built on the illusion of authenticity. Okay, so this whole shift towards performing our lives online brings us to the most complex and, frankly, the most chilling part of this whole story. The dome that Truman lived in, it's not just a metaphor for social media anymore. It's a perfect model for our entire digital economy.
This brings us to a term called surveillance capitalism, which was coined by the scholar Shoshana Zuboff. To put it simply, it's an economic system that's built on mining our daily lives for data. Every click, every like, every search, every place we go, it all becomes free raw material for huge corporations. Our lives have become the new oil of the 21st century.
But here's the critical thing to understand. This system isn't passive. It's not just watching us to predict what we're going to buy next. No, its ultimate goal is to actively shape and nudge our behavior in ways that are profitable. It wants to make sure we do what it predicts we'll do. And the parallels to the movie are just striking. Christof, the all-powerful director, that's big tech. The perfectly controlled world of Sea Haven, that's our algorithmic filter bubbles, where we only see what the platform decides we should see. The thousands of hidden cameras are just like the data trackers and cookies that follow us everywhere online. And Merrill's super awkward product placements, well, they've just become the hyper-personalized ads that seem to read our minds.
So how do they get away with all this? Zuboff calls it the dispossession cycle. It works in 4 stages. First, there's the incursion, where they take our data secretly. Remember when we found out Facebook's like button was putting tracking cookies everywhere? Then comes habituation. They deny it, they delay, they wait for us to stop being angry until we just get used to it. After that, adaptation. They finally admit to it, but by then, who cares? It's standard. And finally, redirection. They use that now normal practice to build even more powerful systems, like those personalized ad profiles.
And this isn't just happening on our screens. Remember Pokemon Go? It was sold to us as a fun little game. But behind the scenes, it was a massive real-world experiment. It literally used rewards and incentives to herd huge crowds of people to specific real-world businesses, like Starbucks or McDonald's, who had paid to be sponsored locations. Our actual physical movements were being modified and monetized. Just like Christof controlling Truman. It's all real, it's just controlled. Now, the film ends with Truman's big, triumphant escape. He finds the door in the sky, and he walks out into the real world. But for us, living inside this giant digital dome, is there really an exit? And that's the question we all have to face now, isn't it? In a world where the internet is basically essential, I mean, it connects us to our jobs, our families, our whole society, can we truly choose to just leave? Or is opting out a luxury that most of us just don't have? And maybe we should even challenge that happy ending a little bit. Sure, Truman escapes the cameras of the show, but he walks into a world where he is, without a doubt, the most famous person alive. He is now going to be under the constant surveillance of paparazzi, of fans, of the media. He doesn't actually escape being watched. He just changes the channel. The line between this fiction and our reality has gotten so blurry that the Truman Show delusion is now a documented clinical condition. We're talking about patients who genuinely believe their lives are being secretly filmed and broadcast for everyone else's entertainment. The metaphor has literally become a diagnosable psychosis. It's wild. But maybe the most cynical and honestly the most accurate moment in the entire movie is the very last scene. After watching Truman's life-altering, incredibly emotional escape, the viewers, the ones who've been obsessed with him for 30 years, they just turn to each other and ask, what else is on? That deep connection was totally fleeting. They're already looking for the next piece of content. Does that sound at all familiar? And that brings us to the final question, the exact one Truman himself had to answer. Remember, Christof told him there was no more truth in the real world than there was in the world he created for him. And in his world, at least he had nothing to fear. We are all living in our own carefully curated realities, shaped by forces we often can't even see. So the question isn't really for Truman, it's for all of us. If you found the edge of your world, that door in the painted sky, would you be brave enough to open it?